The year is 2003. Superman Roy Jones Jr. is 49-1. And after spending years dominating from middleweight all the way up to heavyweight, the man himself has accomplished all that could possibly be asked. But after years of another dedicated boxer insisting on a fight, and Roy having nothing better to do with his career, Jones slims down from his heavyweight body back down to light heavyweight to close the mouth of the magic man Antonio Tarver, a beast with a record of 21-1 who wants to add some Hall of Famers to his list of humbled names. Will Superman be able to save his planet of fans from chaos and grievance? Or will the Magic Man accomplish what he always sets out to do, and make Roy Jones Jr. disappear like many opponents before him? Welcome back to Boxing After Dark. Today we're taking a look at one of the most extravagant and exciting trilogies in the history of boxing. In a bout between a man coming out of his prime versus a man just getting into it despite being born the same year, this was quite literally a battle for the ages. There were insurmountable accomplishments for the icon Roy Jones Jr., but it was in 2003 where it felt he had truly accomplished what any man could set out to do in his field. The Beast's biggest achievements so far range from asserting his dominance in the middleweight division with a legendary victory over Bernard Hopkins to humbling the super middleweight IBF champion James Toney just 1 year later.
The man want to fight fair square, I ain't got no excuses. He's a better man than that, but I will be back though.
And you'd be a fool to bring up Jones's greatness without acknowledging his 6 years at the top of the light heavyweight division, schooling top-level fighters like Eric Harding, who had already beaten Antonio Tarver, and knocking out Montel Griffin, a surely satisfying victory for Roy due to Montel being the man to give Jones his only loss, by way of a controversial disqualification.
Thank everybody, and Coach Lord, Roy Jones still number one, and gonna be that way, baby. For all these doubters, him and all the rest of them think Roy Jones is a fluke, now they know.
Roy Jones Jr. was incredible, so much so that people began to believe he couldn't be touched, and after seemingly being the king of every challenge he faced, there was only one test left: the heavyweight division. Roy promised one fight in this terrifying realm against whatever champion would take the challenge, and out of the shadows came John Ruiz with his WBA heavyweight title in hand. Roy, seemingly attempting an any percent speed run for this prestigious title, took hold of the belt for himself amply, destroying John by unanimous decision. After this extremely commendable victory, RJ vowed to never fight at such a mentally and physically damaging weight ever again.
After his easy victory over Ruiz last March, Jones, in a surprising move, steps back down in weight in an attempt to reclaim the 175-pound titles he left behind. But it's not just the belts Jones wants, it's Tarver too.
And now here comes Antonio Tarver, a man who prayed nightly for the day he could humble the great Roy Jones Jr. And after interrupting press conference after press conference as if he was boxing's Kool-Aid man demanding a fight, he's finally got his wish. Roy was ready to come back down to where he was most comfortable in the light heavyweight division and give Tarver a reality check. But Tarver proclaimed to have Roy's number. Clearly 49 other fighters believed the same of themselves, so why should this fight be any different? Well, let's see. Tarver was making quick work of many of Roy's prior opponents, from Montel Griffin to Reggie Johnson to Eric Harding. Tarver had dominating power in his left hand that could seemingly end or avenge a fight against any great fighter. And when you add Tarver's prior experience at the Olympics, where he dominated whilst only winning a bronze medal, there was no doubt that he had the experience and skill to make mincemeat of anyone he gets in the ring with.
For the last 3 to 4 years, Roy Jones has handpicked every opponent ever stepped in the ring with him. He never bickered and argued when he had a less than stellar mandatory. But when Antonio Tarver became his mandatory, he made every excuse in the world.
The first clash between these two monsters lit up the world's television screens on November 8th of 2003. And whilst the glove touching of this fight wouldn't be as iconic as the one that would come thereafter, the rage embroidered into the eyes of these magnificent creatures was a sight to behold, and no one would doubt that these men would put their all into this fight of pride, ego, and honor. The warriors touched gloves, and the clash of kings commenced.
Round one begins. Tarver is longer, and with the southpaw style, hopes to land something big. His left hand over the top, by far his strongest punch.
Tarver at the same time has got it
Short with jab to the body.
I like Tarver.
Jones last fought as a light heavyweight against Clinton Wood. Nevertheless, Jones is throwing more punches. Now Tarver lands his first left hand of the fight. And now Tarver lands another left, goes twice to the body.
You never see people going. That could make a difference.
Blocking shots with his arms, and he lands a counter right hand. Tarver lands another left. Maybe Jones's most curious habit is that of backing himself into corners. He does it more frequently than you might suspect.
Round 1 began, and both fighters got a feel for each other's power, speed, and comfortability in the ring. Things didn't start off hectic, but Tarver ended the round with some clean body shots and straight jabs to the head.
Harold Letterman gives the first round to Tarver, probably because of the big left hands he landed in the last 30 seconds of the round.
Giving Jones some trouble.
And George has made the point just as quick.
Yes, we're going to miss you.
He lands the left hand right through the middle of the guard. Very confident start.
Himself now. Stays on balance, does his puncher, and gets right out of there.
Lands 2 more left hands.
Nose has been reddened.
Look at Tarver banging away with the left hand and landing them again, this time coming around the guard. And Jones didn't answer. So you think Tarver's stronger?
His jab, look, snap.
Jones unable to mount much off, gotten off, and with the jabs. And Jones hits him hard again to the body.
Just up in those middleweight divisions.
Here's Tarver's opportunity. It's out of the corner, and Tarver drives him back into the ropes again.
Now, his energy here.
Not at all.
Straight right hand lands for Jones as he leaps in and then jumps right on past Tarver out of punching range.
With it.
Once again, Jones on the ropes. Once again, Tarver lets his hands fly.
That's what he's got to do all night long. Go back to the middle of the ring once you finish. Don't stay there, though.
Tarver getting the best of it again. Jones countered twice off the ropes. Hard left hook to the body. They don't like each other. They don't like each other at all.
That's what you want a guy, even when you can't do anything. Make him afraid.
Enough of a statement in rounds 3 and every time. Massively magnificent during have authority, but they start to land.
Tarver's got to get a grip.
Into the right hand.
It seems Captain Hook has finally found his footing after some better attempts in the previous 2 rounds. Roy looks comfortable in the ring and sustains Tarver's power better than any of his previous opponents.
8 out of 14, as I mentioned, hot-shotting as to what happened to his fighter. Dude.
The body, he hit head.
Not even trying. Tarver starts to release again.
Put him right in that territory. Now Tarver can put
Hard
the
right
pressure
hand
on
upstairs by Jones.
a little bit because of the weight loss.
Yeah, and here he's back to throwing those one shot.
And Roy Jones is trying to make this energy because he's not in the great energy position himself.
And there's a huge right hand. Possible that Jones scores a late round stoppage at Tarver.
Tarver stand there, but said it would take Tarver's head off.
Work out.
Them to counter with one shot and go on by and get away from Tarver. He's standing and trading with Tarver and get back into the fight a little bit with power shot.
That he's effective now. This guy's playing.
What that left hand shot? Jones clowned a little bit. Tarver lands 2 more left hands. Sneers contemptuously at him. Straight right hand flush on the chin of Antonio Tarver. The right hand upstairs as Jones gradually begins to raise the target.
Experience.
And Antonio Tarver punches on his body.
Their punching ability, that they don't see the punches.
He has to go to the ropes for a refuge.
Jones blocking punches upstairs.
Jones is looking for rest, and Tarver should not give him any.
Giving away the 8th round.
Roy Jones indicated to us that this could...
Yeah, but Jones is... George Tarver knows he's...
Finally got confidence to throw that... There it is!
Left hand by George Tarver.
There it is! There it is!
Another hard left hand. And Tarver lets his hands go again. Here's the challenge
that Jones has always made that other fighters couldn't take advantage of.
3 out of 12. So the seesaw goes back in the middle of the ring. Like just energy level as Tarver bangs him again with a straight left.
All night long he's been waiting for that left.
He's going to give it a shot. Now,
Never.
I don't know who you're pulling for.
Well, these are some of the most suspenseful moments, and I'll whip him again. No, the fight would definitely be there for Tarver to win if you
Give Jones credit, he changed his straight.
Now that straight left hand is right.
Jones is taking big shots. That's big.
Gives up, going to win rounds, and he's doing it.
What a performance now by Jones. That he needs to hold off Antonio Tarver. Combinations begin to flow. Trouble seeing out of that eye. Tarver in danger of punching himself out. Doing what champions do.
The victory is far from lost for both beasts, and the final round seems as though it could be the decider for many bystanders of the bout.
Of Roy Jones's career. Let's see if he can do it again in the 12th. Buddy McGirt won back with the left, and as Jones goes to the ropes, here's Tarver's chance. Can Antonio Tarver solidify the light heavyweight championship of the world? Can he knock Roy Jones out?
Jones is hurt, but he's fighting.
High drama. Big right hand by Jones.
It looks like Tarver's gotten tired now.
Most of a safety-first career.
Roy gets older to see what intangibles he has.
Got a bunch.
Inside.
Tonight, it's clear, fighting Antonio Tarver was a bigger risk than Roy Jones thought it would be. Seems on that basis to have saved his record.
Ladies and gentlemen, here at the Mandalay Bay Resort and Casino of Las Vegas, after 12 rounds of boxing, we go to the scorecards. 114 to 114. 117 to 111. 116 to 112. Roy Jones Jr.
After celebrations from both teams, the winner is revealed to be Roy Jones Jr. by majority decision. No one appears to be outraged. But there were unquestionably murmurs behind closed doors, and from the stadium itself, that the great Roy Jones Jr. just had his first legitimate loss and was let off on a technicality.
I won this fight, and all I needed was an opportunity against the best fighter that you all say, pound for pound the best. So I showed tonight where I measure up. I am the people's champion. There's a new face in boxing, and it's Antonio Tarver, the Magic Man.
While some spectators believed the gap to be too wide between the fighters on the scorecards and others believing Tarver to have won altogether, Roy Jones Jr. refused to let the fans dictate the night's history and is more than happy to prove himself again in a rematch. If only the fans knew what was to come.
$1 million heavyweight, it's me and Mike Tyson. That's all I want. After Mike Tyson, I'm done.
So if you don't get Tyson, you're not going to fight again?
If I don't get Tyson, I'm done.
After 6 months that had felt like 6 years, the rematch finally came. And with that, the masses were presented one of the most infamously harrowing face-to-face statements in the history of boxing.
In the dressing room, do you have any questions? I got a question. You got any excuses tonight, Roy? Let's not ask questions like that. Let's touch gloves and go to work.
And just like that, Roy's eyes, for the first time in his career, glimmered with a sense of fear.
They don't want to wait for the bell. Emmanuel, you seen that before?
I love it. No, I've never saw it, but I would like to see it more often.
Never seen it. I got a question. You got any excuses tonight, Roy? What a start. But Larry, what's really happening here is that you have two natural counterpunchers against each other,
That's right. And Roy Jones is taking a more positive, aggressive stance, but he's not throwing any punches yet.
Either man wants to go first. Finally, Tarver leads.
And up until the times that Roy would actually go to the ropes, a lot of the first fight was this way, until Jones would go to the ropes and say, come on and throw your punches, Antonio.
And there were boos in the house during the first fight from time to time.
And trying to keep the fight right in the middle of the ring where he has an advantage.
Straight right hand upstairs, straight right hand to the body. On his feet and move, he'll do it.
Now they're fighting in the center of the ring.
Tarver hadn't gotten off really, and Jones is landing his right hand.
Penetrate through Tarver effectively.
Tarver lands the right hand.
Good right jab.
And another Tarver jab, and Jones answers with a hard right hand to the body.
Round 1 opened with Roy looking like his old self, vibrant, technical, and skillful, despite there being lesser volume of punches thrown than the first round of their original fight. Both fighters seemed far more collected and professional.
After listening to Alton Murkerson, Jones nearly craned his head all the way out between the ropes to listen to whatever it was Gaynor had to say.
People who work for him and to his friends.
A lot of boxers down there.
Tarver stalking now more aggressively, more concertedly, and seemingly accepting the role of the leader in the counterpuncher's war. And there's a hard left hand by Antonio Tarver. He tries to come back with a right to the body and a right upstairs and another right to the middle of the belly.
Roy has not found a way still to get a sustained attack against him.
And down goes Jones on a hard left hand, and that is the most that Roy Jones has ever been hurt. Only Lou DeVal ever knocked him down. Jones may not get up, and he makes it up. It's over. Jay Nady stops the fight, and Jones is still on Clear Street, and that's amazing. What a statement by Antonio Tarver. One big left hand shot.
He said, what excuses do you have tonight, Roy? No excuses.
And now there's a fight breaking out in the ring. There's a fight between supporters in the ring, and our cameraman, Gordy Sager's gone down.
Jim.
The action has been quelled in the ring. I'm not really sure what was going on, but I know that Gordy Sager, our cameraman, went down and appears to be okay.
The winner by knockout victory, and once again, the light heavyweight champion of the world, Antonio Magic Man Tarver.
While shocking to many in the moment, in retrospect, this loss seemed inevitable. Being 15 years into a professional career with so many incredible statements made, Roy finally met his match after so long at the top and went out guns blazing. As the post-fight interviews came around, Tarver seemed overcome with joy, whilst Roy took the loss like a champion.
Roy, there's a first time for everything.
You know how that goes, Larry, and there's no excuses on my part. I come out, I do what I do. You know, I've had an illustrious career. I've enjoyed what I've done. And guys always are up to fight Roy Jones Jr. Roy Jones Jr. has a hard time getting up to fight guys, you know what I mean?
After a loss so brutal and unexpected, most boxing enthusiasts assumed this to be a good stopping point for the great Roy Jones Jr., but Captain Hook seemed to have a different idea for his legacy. Wanting a tune-up for the inevitable conclusion to an already amazing trilogy, Roy Jones found himself pitted up against the IBF light heavyweight title holder Glenn Johnson, and after finding himself getting knocked out once again, people began to hope Roy would just accept the end of his career. Down-slapping the naysayers and fighting on like the warrior he is, though, the third and final bout between Superman and the Magic Man came on October 1st of 2005, just under 2 years since their initial meeting between the ropes. While the third fight didn't reach the same level as excitement as the first two bouts between these beasts, it helped to establish what many had already suspected for upwards of 2 years. Tarver, although the same age as Roy, had clearly not gone through the ups and downs of such a varied and difficult career, and was staying at a similar level of dominance with his cracking left hand and impressively timed counterpunches. Roy was finally declining and falling from grace, so when Tarver won the fight by unanimous decision, people were left with a sense of confirmation that Roy Jones Jr.'s prime had officially ended, and the light heavyweight division was now finally a young man's game once more. 20 years have passed since this rivalry began, yet both Tarver and Roy have gone on to be good friends outside of the ring, singing each other's praises until the tune embedded its way into every fan of these fighters' ears. Both boxers' careers spanned many years after these fights, yet neither showed what the sport of boxing was all about quite like they did on these legendary nights. With a light shined on the persistence, resilience, and togetherness that boxing can bring, both Roy and Tarver could rest, knowing that even without their other great achievements, they'd be remembered and cherished for these iconic and beautiful performances. Although Tarver retired in 2015 with a record of 31-6, no one is quick to forget what he accomplished in his time. His hours with Jones and great bouts thereafter, such as his vengeance against Glenn Johnson and his valiant loss against Bernard Hopkins, proved that Antonio was and still is a legend. Roy Jones Jr., as we all know, still fights professionally and in exhibitions to this day, from UFC fighters to bare-knuckle boxers to Mike Tyson. And despite some pleading for him to retire due to it cheapening the look of his resume,
I'm scared Roy Jones is going to die.
Most true fans agree that a man of his stature should be allowed to parley with whoever he wants, whenever he wants, and if anyone's earned the right to fight until his heart says no, it has to be Superman himself. If you've enjoyed this video and would like to see more from Boxing After Dark, feel free to subscribe to the channel and don't be afraid to drop a like and comment. Thank you for watching.